Are you looking for better shooting experience? How about a facility where you can shoot all of your firearms in the same day, where you can move and shoot steel, draw from the holster, and practice your rifle work out to 600 yards? Shoot a very challenging sporting clays course or a round of trap or skeet. You can do all that and much more at the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Hi, I'm David Lombardo, president of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you love the outdoors, you'll want to know all about Northern Illinois' largest outdoor shooting facility, the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you're a novice looking for a basic course, an experienced shooter looking for an advanced course, or perhaps you want to participate in your favorite shooting event, or just spend an enjoyable day with a family, the Aurora Sportsman's Club is the only shooting facility in the region that offers all that and more. Interested? Then you won't want to miss the next orientation and tour of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Call, email, or visit our website today to find out how you can become part of a better shooting experience at the Aurora Sportsman's Club in Waterman, Illinois.
He is the human Molotov cocktail that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them.
So we're going to create a new government that serves you, your family, and your country.
It's time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues, here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
Welcome to On Target Radio. Tonight, David's rant of the week is Wimp Dude versus Vagina Screechers. Then he and Gretchen will be talking about the Women's March. We'll be taking a look at President Trump's very aggressive enactment of his campaign promises. And finally, we'll be talking about a proposed Illinois tax on all gun ranges, shooting clubs, and firearm instruction, as well as other Second Amendment issues in the news. All that and more on tonight's On Target Radio. So give us a call at 815-205-1584. That's 815-205-1584. Or go to Facebook, like our page On Target Radio, and ask a question or make a comment there.
And now, from the seething cauldron of personal opinion, it's time for David's Rant of the Week.
Thoughts, like old vultures, prey upon heartstrings. When a guy allows a bunch of liberal women to browbeat him into a sense of self-loathing, well, only a wimp dude caves into liberals, and I say pox be upon you, Dathan Paterno. Liberals have a clear understanding of their rights, total disregard for the rights of anyone who disagrees with them, and they have absolutely no understanding of socially acceptable behavior. This is particularly true of liberal women, who when assembled take on the characteristics of a gaggle of geese. They constantly honk annoyingly, are devoid of regard for private property, are vicious toward everyone, aimlessly wander about in a formation, accomplish nothing of value whatsoever, and leave behind a disgusting mess that someone else has to clean up. The brouhaha began when a Park Ridge Niles, Illinois School District 64 Board of Education member took umbrage at the most recent gaggle of liberal, hate-mongering, self-described feminists. Admittedly, it was a pretty darn big gaggle, which liberals touted as overwhelming support of women. Well, of women who agreed with them anyway. Conservatives touted it as evidence of high levels of lead in expensive bottled water, resulting in liberal women becoming borderline psychotics. I wouldn't argue that Dathan Paterno's tweets could have been better worded. I mean, referring to the gaggle as vagina screechers could be construed as tasteless. Specifically, he tweeted, quote, "Most of those vagina screechers didn't vote, but they mean business? What a farce," unquote. However, the most offensive of his comments paled in comparison to what the gaggle chanted as they flooded the streets of Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles. So vile were their comments and behavior, I'd have to provide you with a safe space and Play-Doh if I were to repeat them to you. Now, to be fair, I must point out that Paterno is a licensed clinical psychologist whose website says he affirms that all people are biological, social, and spiritual beings, and he believes that all of those points are relevant in assessing and responding to a person's struggles. Okay, well, that's nice. Perhaps a bit incongruous compared to his tweets, but I'm not concerned about that aspect of what happened. That would be between him and his own psychotherapist. What does concern me, however, is Paterno's reaction to the gaggle's collective response to what he wrote. It was reported by the press that Paterno's tweet sent a shock wave through the district community, and Monday night's school board meeting was packed with parents. Really? A shock wave? His tweets paled in comparison to what the gaggle were chanting across the country, but that didn't raise shock waves. At last Monday night's school board meeting, a Ginger Pennington addressed the board and said both her children were with her at the Women's March in Washington. Isn't that sweet? Anyway, Pennington said she found it to be a very inspirational, uplifting experience and added, "You can't imagine the degree of my disgust and surprise to see that our own school board member was essentially calling me and my children vagina screechers." Pennington neglected to mention that the women were going around shouting while wearing giant vagina costumes around their neck. You know, kind of an essential bit of information given the context of Paterno's tweet. He didn't just pull a vagina out of thin air. They were, after all, actually marching, shouting vaginas. On the other hand, I can see how Pennington and her children might find matching vagina costumes to be a bonding experience. Okay, look, this is complicated, but the point is Paterno's response. In retrospect, they were inappropriate and pushed too far in some ways, Paterno wrote in his January 23 letter to the school board. While I merely meant to harshly criticize some of the protesters, especially the very angry, hostile, vulgar, and violent ones, and question the motives of some of them, my tweets were understandably misinterpreted to mean that I disrespect or hate all the protesters. Of course, that isn't true, but the damage was done. And with that, he resigned from the school board. So, Paterno caves to the vagina screechers who wouldn't even think of apologizing to the rest of the world for their vile, obscene demonstrations. They've won yet another round because someone who criticized them was willing to not only back down and apologize for it, but also resign from his elected position on the school board. Vagina screechers 1, righteously indignant male protesters 0. Paterno, you're a wimp dude, and I hereby revoke your man card. And that is my rant for the week.
I guess that's it.
We're out. We'll be back with more on Target Radio, I think.
For over 100 years, the Illinois State Rifle Association has supported the rights and freedoms of Illinois citizens to keep and bear arms. For over 100 years, the ISRA has supported the use of firearms as a sport for personal protection and as a fundamental aspect of national defense. For over 100 years, the Illinois State Rifle Association has been supporting you. Don't you think it's time you supported them? ISRA.org or 815-635-3198. The Illinois State Rifle Association, supporting you.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invite you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
Do you dread writing? Is it challenging to find just the right words to get your point across? Do you put off developing marketing materials because you just don't know where to start? You get one chance to make a first impression, and my editor, Creative Business Services, can help make it a strong, positive one. Hi, this is Gretchen Fritz, co-host of On Target Radio, and I'd like to tell you about My Editor, a business I started to help you overcome those concerns. What you're experiencing is very common. My Editor has helped business owners, candidates for political office, and even authors and public speakers. At My Editor Creative Business Services, we can simply edit your existing work or help you develop an entire writing plan of action from initial project design through final copy. We are easy to work with and will help you get your point across in the most effective manner. If words escape you, send me an email at myeditor@mail.com. Use My Editor Creative Business Services and go to print with confidence. That's myeditor@mail.com, or find us on Facebook.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
This segment is brought to you by the Will County Grassroots Division of the Illinois State Rifle Association. Join like-minded friends supporting the right to keep and bear arms in Illinois at 7 p.m. on the third Wednesday of the month at the Silver Dollar Restaurant in Elwood, Illinois.
Vagina screechers, notwithstanding, give us a call at 815-205-1584. You can weigh in on vagina screechers. I don't think we've ever used that word on the show before.
It's definitely a new phrase for me, although I did see the article about the guy resigning from the school board.
Yeah, I didn't make it up. I wouldn't choose to say something like that. But did you see the pictures of the women wearing vagina?
I'm trying to think of something comparable that you have said, but
not much. No.
I'm drawing a blank at this particular moment, but if I scream out something in the middle of the show, that's probably what it is.
There's a setup line. Did you see the pictures of the women though wearing vaginas?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Some of them were more graphic than others, but the pussy hat was very popular.
That was popular with the
That
group.
was the sort of unifying item.
So the went back down. I mean, this is Republicans do this. They I'm so sorry if I offended you. Whereas those people are in your face, you know.
Right. Yeah, I said something about that on Facebook the other day. Of like, it was after the Women's March. Like, what can we do to help you understand that your rights are not going to be taken away? Roe v. Wade is not going to be overturned tomorrow. All this stuff, and all these people on Facebook are going, "Don't worry about it." They're like, the liberals never worry about our feelings when they do the crap that they do, which is true. I mean,
exactly. Did you see who the main speaker was at? I think this was the event in Washington.
Well, there were several. One was Linda Sarsour, who is Muslim, pro-Sharia law Muslim.
That fits perfectly with women's rights.
Yeah, I see how a bunch of women wearing pussy hats would be like, yeah, Sharia law.
I wonder if you would put a burqa over the. Well, never mind. Okay. The other
minimally.
One, just,
at least a burqa.
I don't know. I just. But it's Donna Hilton, one of the main speakers in Washington.
Yes.
Kidnaps, tortures, sodomizes, and murders an old guy, and does time for it. Is out.
25 years. Yeah.
Another perfect speaker for women's rights.
Yeah, it's really quite shocking, that she, along with 3 men and 3 other women, so 7 people, kidnapped a 62-year-old gay man, and they tortured him. They sodomized him with objects. They squeezed his testicles with pliers. They beat him. They burned him, and eventually they murdered him. I mean, really, really disgusting.
And that's a perfect speaker for
and
women.
That's right. That's who we picked to talk to this crowd of, approximately 500,000 people.
The interesting thing is they were protesting that they did not have rights in the United States.
Yes.
Yet failed to mention a right that they didn't have.
Well, right. The common theme that I was seeing is women's rights are human rights, which is true.
I'm not arguing that point.
Right. And I don't think most of us would.
The question is what right do they not have?
Right. The question is, what do you call women's right? Let's define women's rights. And, you know, I think it is just hyper ironic that they have a Palestinian pro-Sharia law woman up there.
Do they even understand what that means? Seriously.
Well, you saw that Dice thing that he did. Mark Dice was asking people on a beach.
Wearing bikinis.
Wearing beach clothes.
Yeah.
You know, do you think we should have Sharia law in this country? Hillary Clinton supports Sharia law. Do you think we should? Oh yeah, I think that's a good idea. If Hillary says it's good, then let's do it.
I think actually we used to say they're dumb as bricks. I think they have managed to sink lower than that level.
What would that be?
I don't know what it would be, but perhaps snail poop in a wagon rut. I don't know. I just how can you have a speaker speaking to women who say they don't have enough rights, who advocates taking everything away from women?
I don't know. I don't understand. I can say with confidence I categorically don't understand any of it.
Wouldn't you love to know what she actually said? How does that
I
person
would.
who said...
Oh, there's got to be video. There's got to be video out there.
Yeah. But I can't take my eyes off the vaginas. Just
we know how you love the vaginas.
Well, I'm not quite that large though. You could drive a car through some of those. You know what I'm saying? Certainly a motorcycle. We've probably beaten that topic to death, don't you think?
This has taken such a wrong turn.
It has, and I'm thinking we'll just move on.
Such a wrong turn. But yeah, I mean, what I said on Facebook is that, Roe versus Wade, much as I would like it to be overturned, is not going to be overturned at any
Supreme Court decision.
Right. In any time in the near future. It is not going to happen. Probably not in my lifetime. Because what would have to happen is the Supreme Court would have to choose to take it up. There would have to be like a challenge, some kind of a legal challenge, and they would have to agree to hear it. And, there's lots of cases that they simply don't agree to hear, and that would be one of them. I mean, I just don't see them revisiting it.
And the other thing is Republicans have typically, and I don't know the entire legislative history of the Supreme Court, but the Republicans have typically adhered to the concept of stare decisis. In other words, they may not like what it is, but they don't want to go back and overturn it.
Right.
Of course, Democrats have never had that problem. They don't care. It's a gentleman's agreement as long as it benefits the Democrats.
Sure.
So you're right. To go back and overturn something is not trivial. However, having said something is not trivial, apparently to President Trump, nothing is particularly difficult. He just, bulldozer comes to mind.
He is kicking ass and taking names.
It was, before he even got sworn in, big stuff was already happening because they knew he'd been elected. And, Apple's bringing production back here and, all this stuff is going on. Now, and I really like the part where they make a note in that article about when Obama said elections have consequences, live with it. Well, yes, they do. Live with it. Take a look at what that means.
There's an old saying that I used to hear my uncles and people like that say, and I didn't understand it until I was an adult, of course, which makes sense. But it goes, what goes around comes around.
Goes around comes around.
And that seems very prescient in this case.
The insiders said, well, it's all talk. When he gets elected, he can't do that.
We'll see.
Stuff.
He won't be able to do it by himself. He's got to get Congress.
As we were prepping for this thing, I'm reading these articles and what he's done. And I remember I said, you ought to just make a list. I mean, you can't. It's pages and pages.
Start now, yeah.
Right. I mean, executive order after executive order. I'm waiting for them to say, well, this man is signing all these executive orders, which would really be disingenuous.
That would be rich.
Considering that
Obama basically blazed a trail as far as that goes. I saw somebody opining that on Facebook, one of my sister's sister-in-laws, and she was opining. She's like, how many executive orders can you do in a week? And I was like, Obama already tested that. Trump's only going where Obama has already gone.
The path has been made.
But yeah, it's fantastic. They've issued a memo telling federal agencies to stop issuing regulations, which is excellent. He did an executive order to block foreign aid for international organizations that provide abortions. Apparently, whenever Republicans take over from Democrats, that is something that they typically do. That's a traditional thing that they do. So that's a good thing. I was very happy about that. He froze hiring for non-military federal employees. He pulled out of any TPP talks, Trans-Pacific Partnership talks. This one I love. He expanded the definition of criminal immigrants who are considered priorities for deportation. That's a good one.
He also issued a memo to the federal agencies that says, stop issuing regulations.
Yes.
That in and of itself is worth its weight in gold,
yeah,
quite literally.
Definitely.
Blocking foreign aid for international organizations that provide abortions. Talking about defunding Planned Parenthood. Building the wall. Did you see? He said, oh, yeah. You remember back during the campaign, he goes, Mexico's going to pay for it one way or the other. Mm-hmm. And they go, that's not going to happen. He's going to slap a 20% tariff on anything that comes out of Mexico.
Well, Spicer walked that back, but I wouldn't be surprised if that pops up again.
I think that's how he's going to do it. Maybe it won't be 20%. But
maybe it'll be 40%.
It's the one thing he can
Knowing
do.
Trump and the way he's going gangbusters.
It's the one thing he can do. He can say, okay, fine. You want to sell stuff here in this country? Here, this is what we're taxed.
Right,
this is the tax.
Yeah.
This guy is really
and he may present them with some sort of a deal of like, okay, well, it's the 20% tariff or it's some other thing.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more on Target Radio. Give us a call, 815-205-1584. We're going to talk a little more about how slow Trump is in his first 100 days.
For over 100 years, the Illinois State Rifle Association has supported the rights and freedoms of Illinois citizens to keep and bear arms. For over 100 years, the ISRA has supported the use of firearms as a sport for personal protection and as a fundamental aspect of national defense. For over 100 years, the Illinois State Rifle Association has been supporting you. Don't you think it's time you supported them? ISRA.org or 815-635-3198. The Illinois State Rifle Association, supporting you.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And the president is just driving the liberals insane. Did you see where he reiterated his support for torturing terror suspects?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. And they go, oh, it's inhumane. It's crazy. These people put like 20 people in a cage and throw them in the water, and then, like drag them out an hour later.
Right.
They behead people. They burn them alive. You know what? A little waterboarding, I'm not so bad on that.
I'm not sure how I feel about it. I imagine there's cases where it's warranted, where we know that the person that we're questioning and that we think has information is also a bad person, not just somebody who simply has information. And, yeah.
See, I don't actually care if they want to get information. Here's what I care about. Under our previous president, we as a country, and our military specifically, were looked on as a joke. Mm-hmm. It's time for those people to go, oh, God, don't piss off the Americans. Okay?
Well, I do like that, yes.
Yeah,
I do tend to agree with you on that.
See, dying is a big deal to them because they get their 72 virgins.
Right.
Being tortured doesn't get you 72 virgins.
Right.
So if you arrest, if you capture these guys, you want them to live in hell for as long as possible. Mm-hmm. And then my suggestion is to release them and spread the word. Oh, God, you don't do that. You just don't want to screw with them.
Yeah.
We need to go back to the old days when people are scared to death of screwing with America.
Yeah. I saw another great General Mattis
Mad Dog
reference this week. I put it on Facebook. It was something, I don't remember who said it. It was somebody who knew him personally, and it said he has a bear rug on his floor. Yeah. It's not dead. It's just scared to move.
Yeah, right. I think that's great. The other thing that is really interesting that Trump did is, which is total common sense, he has banned immigration from 7 countries, and apparently going to add some to that list.
Yeah, it's a 90-day temporary ban on anyone from Iraq, Syria, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen.
Exactly. And of course, the press makes it be that's 218 million people. You know what? Can you see my left eye? Does it look like it cares?
And your point is what? And then also, like Syria, they basically just said, no more Syrians, period.
Yeah.
The whole thing's a Trojan horse,
yeah.
And we don't want any Syrians
now,
at all.
It's interesting that the liberals are going berserk over this because Obama did it.
Yeah.
You know,
they conveniently forget that.
Yeah, Obama did it. They're just looking for anything they can to stir up the muck. It's not a permanent thing, but what he's saying is we have to know who's coming in the country. Mm-hmm. We've got to look at the process. We got to refine it. We got to make sure before we let anybody in that we know what we're doing. And how can you fault that?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of heads of departments that he is directing to, look at the process for letting in refugees and other people for granting visas, and he. He's saying we need to look at this. So yeah, it's a rigorous process, but can we apply more rigor to that process? I love what with all these things that we talked about in the second segment and that we're now talking about. He's got one of his allies is Representative Tom Reed from New York, and he summarized Trump's action-filled first week with one word: fire hose.
Yeah, fire hose. I love it. The other thing that I find really interesting is, when the executive order was signed, the airports just, that's it, we're done, can't come in. I mean, just boom, door slammed shut.
Yeah.
And, of course, the ACLU went berserk, and Soros funded an immediate suit against
a federal judge issued a temporary stay.
And what happened? What was the result of it? The result is the Homeland Security guys are ignoring it. That would have never happened under Obama. They would have never. You know what I'm saying? I think that is. It's very interesting that the feds are siding with the president on. You know what? We don't want him to come in here.
Yeah, it is interesting that customs agents are basically acknowledging that Trump is right.
Yeah.
They're basically saying, potentially these are dangerous people, and we don't really want to. We never really wanted to let them in, and now we finally have the authority, to keep them out.
And this is a really liberal justice. the very liberal justice that came out
Obviously.
of this ruling.
Well, she's from Brooklyn, so what do you
go
expect?
to court. It'll, you know,
Oh, yeah.
it'll get tested in court.
Well, that's good. The funny thing is we've got a whole article here about these lawyers from these different groups that Soros is basically given huge donations to all these different organizations, the ACLU, the International Refugee Assistance Project, Urban Justice Center, all these different organizations, National Immigration Law Center, all these ones. So basically, Soros is funding all of this stuff. This past week, when I was visiting my sister, we had family movie night with her kids, we watched the Lego Movie, which I know that you would probably not willingly partake of on your own. But I would encourage.
I would very much like to, but time's a little tight. Forever.
I would encourage you to watch it though, because actually, I think Soros is in that movie. I think he's the villain. They don't name him, obviously, but
he's the villain everywhere.
Yeah, but I think it's funny that even liberal Hollywood types are making a movie and making him the bad guy.
Why do you think it? Why do you think he's Soros? Is it the fat, ugly guy that's got a lot of money?
It's a very rich guy, and he becomes all powerful. So he's not only the head of government, but he also is the head. He owns like every corporation in this world.
It's Soros.
Yeah, pretty much. If you watch it, I think you should put it on your Netflix list, and you should watch the Lego Movie.
Listening to Target Radio. Give us a call, 815-205-1584. The other thing that Trump has considering, he hasn't actually taken any big steps yet, is defunding or reducing funding for the United Nations. Thank you, God. Thank you. He may be the first president that, I can't think of another president that's even brought that subject up. Can you?
No, I don't.
I mean, that's like a sacred cow.
It kind of is, yeah. It's kind of, I don't know, maybe even a third rail.
I'm guessing.
Not quite that.
I'm guessing
extreme.
That part of the reason he wants to defund them, you know, those people have never paid rent, right, on that building.
Mm-hmm.
They're
right.
like, however many.
Were they supposed to?
Yeah, well, right. It's leased property. I'm thinking Trump is going to turn it into a hotel. It's a double, you know.
He can't do that. He's already in deep doo with the liberals who say he shouldn't be able to run Trump in Washington D.C.
Who cares? What everything they did, they were in deep doo with us, and nothing happened. So who cares? You know what? And it might make a nice hotel. It would also, I think, make a really nice crater hole in the ground.
I think it'd be a great museum. Should turn it into a museum of the United Nations.
Yeah. Little blue helmets everywhere, and little plaques that laud Syria for being on the Human Rights Committee.
I want to have it be in the rear view mirror.
In the what?
The rear view mirror.
Oh yeah. I really cannot think of a single president ever who has challenged. Bless you.
Thank you.
And thanks to our engineer, Eric Allen, we have cough buttons, or sneeze. I guess they play both ways. Sneeze button too.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever you want. Profanity button.
Well,
Sure.
I was gonna say you can mute yourself if you're gonna, say a bad word.
If it were a profanity button, no one would ever hear from you again.
Well, yeah, it would need to be like a lot easier.
What can I say? I don't know. Anyway, he's definitely, the criteria he put on the UN thing that he's talking about is pretty much any money that goes to organizations that support the Palestinian Authority or the PLO or any of that kind of stuff. And this is the other thing. We finally have a president back who supports the Israelis,
Israel,
that's really nice to have.
Well, I'm sure Netanyahu thinks so.
Well, I'm sure he does. But I've always had a very, very, very soft spot in my heart for the Israelis, because I was in Vietnam in 1967 when we were, people were slogging through mud and getting killed and all of that stuff. And boy, were they outnumbered 10-1, I think, weren't they? And all the Arabs surrounded the little state of Israel and said, we're going to kill you now and eradicate you from earth. And they kicked their ass.
Yeah, wasn't it like the 9 Days War or something like that?
7 days war. Yeah. And all these Arab countries literally surrounded Israel, outnumbered them like 10-1, and Israel kicked their butt. And the land that they got, you started the war, not me. We took it,
Right.
I mean, there you were. We vanquished you. It's our land. Oh, got to give it back. What, are we going to give America back to England?
No, because we won.
Exactly. So,
Have you ever seen one of the first things that made me really fall in love with Israel is watching video of the Iron Dome.
No.
The Iron Dome in action. You need to go on YouTube and watch video of the Iron Dome.
I don't think I've heard of it.
You will have a hard on for Israel. It's I'm not exactly
Will that go
sure.
with vagina screechers?
Probably. The giant vagina. I'm not exactly sure where it is, but around certain cities they have it's a missile defense system, and it picks up incoming missiles coming from Palestine.
I'm aware. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, it's the Iron Dome.
I hadn't heard of it.
And they launch these missiles, and they it finds them, and it's just awe-inspiring. I mean, if you like blowing stuff up, if you like military stuff, if you like armament, which I know pretty much 100% of our audience does like armament of various types, it will give you a major boner.
Well, but in all seriousness, the Jewish people, the Israelis, unlike Obama saying how Muslims have contributed so much to society, apparently new ways to behead people, the Israelis, Jews have a long tradition of doing really serious stuff. Anyway, we're going to be back. When we come back, Gretchen will do her thing, and we're going to talk about a Senate bill that you are not going to want to hear about. All that and more when we return with On Target Radio.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invite you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
Over a half century ago, a respected firearms store opened. It started as a hobby for Mike Schrenk and has now served generations of customers. Schrenk's Smoke and Gun retains a family atmosphere and now carries the largest selection of new, used, and consignment firearms in Lake County. From pistols, rifles, and shotguns to hard-to-find calibers, collectibles, and older functioning hunting rifles. You'll also find full gunsmith services from simple detail cleaning to complete rebuilds. Whether you're thinking about your first firearm in a FOID card or looking to add to your collection, visit Schrenk's Smoke and Gun. If you have a firearm to sell, their recent sale was so successful they need your firearms. And if you love cigars, you'll find your favorites in Schrenk's humidors, along with a broad selection of pipes and tobacco. Visit smoke, the letter N, gun.org, or call 847-662-4034. Schrenk's Smoke and Gun in Waukegan, your family-owned gun store since 1964. That's 847-662-4034.
Stand by. Here's Gretchen with your action items for the week.
Care and maintenance of the M1 class will be held at the ISRA Range Classroom on Saturday, February 4th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Cost is $30 for ISRA members or $65 for non-members. To sign up, go to isra.org/events/the official ISRA calendar.aspx and click on Care and Maintenance of the M1. I put this info on Facebook earlier today. Emergency medical response for firearm instructors and RSOs will be held at the ISRA Range Classroom on Saturday, March 4th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. This one-day training course focuses on providing firearms instructors and RSOs with the skills and knowledge to develop emergency medical action plans and how to render immediate medical aid to students injured in training. For more information about this class and how to register, contact John Krupa. You can email him at jkrupa@teamspartan.com or call 708-990-4367. I also put this information on Facebook earlier today. The following Safer USA class is at our facility in Waterman. Saturday and Sunday, February 4th and 5th, Illinois Concealed Carry 1. This 16-hour class will be taught by David and Gretchen and meets the training requirements for Illinois Concealed Carry as well as Florida, Arizona, and Utah. To sign up for classes, go to saferusa.com and click on Register.
You know, Tom Vandermeide, who is the NRA's lobbyist here in Illinois, sent an email out. There is a Senate Bill 9 that is up in Illinois, which is pretty ugly. Mm-hmm. It would impose a 5% tax on any membership or access fees to shooting range or gun club. And not just shooting range and gun clubs, by the way. Country clubs, tennis clubs, anything like that. But obviously, from our perspective, gun clubs. Now, literally, club membership, 5%. We, like at Aurora Sportsman's Club, we'd have to pay $75 registration fee to be part of the program, which you don't have a choice. You will be part of the program. Mm-hmm. And range rentals means indoor ranges, outdoor ranges, any sort of operation or rental for a concealed carry class, Boy Scout merit badge. If you're doing a shotgun merit badge, got to pay a tax. Matches, you know how many matches we have at Aurora.
Sure,
I mean, it's every weekend.
And
there's stuff going
ISRA,
on,
too.
Right.
They're constantly having matches.
Matches are taxed at 5%. Classes, our classes, 5% for, hunting, everything. Concealed, everything will have a 5% class. At Aurora, we figured out you're looking at we would end up paying over $40,000 a year in tax just for the membership. Now, we're not talking about all the events, which is on top of that.
Sure.
This is nuts.
Well, if they really are including country clubs, that could be, it does say country clubs, golf, swimming, tennis, fishing, and yachting clubs, gym memberships, sporting events, movie theaters, live music venues. That's a good thing because it will probably be defeated.
Maybe.
Because they included so many things. There's just more people to speak out against it.
True. That is true, but it's Illinois.
Yeah.
They got soda tax.
But the last
they got plastic bag tax.
That's Chicago.
Well, but it's
Chicago.
Illinois is Chicago. They run the whole. I almost said a bad word. They run the state.
But the last time they tried to raise income taxes, a bunch of people protested, called their reps and senators in the General Assembly, Illinois General Assembly, and we got it voted down.
But that's the I word. The I word. There's two things in the world of taxation that are unmovable. One is you bring up the subject of income tax, people go berserk, rightfully so.
Yes.
The other thing is you bring up the subject of challenging the home tax deduction. No, yes, that is the third rail.
Yes.
Any senator or any congressman goes, you know what, we ought to do away with the home tax exemption. He will end up in that cornfield along with the Spilatro brothers.
They will not win re-election.
Yeah, that is not going to go over. But when they couch it as, well, it's a soft drink tax for, and this is the thing that bothers me. And I was talking with Todd about this I think yesterday. It's not the 5% that really worries me. It's the tax existing that worries me.
Right, yeah.
Because today, it's 5%. Hell, I could make it anything.
It's creep, yeah.
Right, it could be anything in 5 years.
Right.
That's crazy.
Well, surface taxes in general have been denied, and that's basically what this is, because they're talking about gym memberships, movie theaters, live music venues. So this is going to affect almost everyone. I mean, even people who don't have a lot of, maybe not the poorest people, but even people who don't have a ton of money go to see movies, and they're not going to want the price of movies to go up.
We'll see what happens. I just, people should be calling
their
senators.
I was going to say, the short story is call or email your state senator and tell them Senate Bill 9 is a bad bill.
Here's a story that I really like. This is great. So you have this ex-Army sniper, right? And he can't sleep. And so it's in the middle of the night. And
none of them can sleep. Just FYI.
Right. And so it's the middle of the night, and his favorite thing to do, which for a lot of people and that listen to the show probably will understand, is he likes to clean his firearms. So he's cleaning his rifle.
Of course he does.
This is like in the middle of the night, like 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And he's cleaning his rifle, and now he's got it cleaned, and he puts it on the window ledge to check the scope, right? And he's looking through his neighbor's window across the street and sees they're duct taped to their chairs, and there's a guy waving a gun at him. Okay, so this is just out of the blue because he can't sleep, right? And he watches them, and they're getting more aggressive, and he pops them with his sniper rifle. He saves the people across the street by shooting out of his bedroom window with a sniper rifle. You can't make that up. That's just priceless. Talk about being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
and can you imagine
absolutely.
the bad guys who are in somebody's house in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden, whoever, Bob, his head just blows off, and it's like, wait a minute, that's not right.
What just happened?
That's just hysterical. I think it's just
yeah. I think if you break into somebody's house and you tie every member of the family,
including the kids,
to a chair, that is not what you're expecting to happen at that point.
Especially at 2 a.m. Where did that come from? Yeah, I saw a video once of there were 3 terrorists walking on a ridge, and this was a crew-served weapon, right, miles away. And there's these 3 terrorists walking on a ridge, and the bullet travels way faster than the speed of sound. And they're walking along, and all of a sudden, Abdul, the middle guy, disappears, and you can see the guy and of course there's no sound yet, and you can see the guy behind him. They're looking through scope. The guy behind him is like looking around, where'd he go? And then he hears the shot, and they all like dive off the top of this hill. It's so that's what best way to stop a bad guy with a gun.
Good guy with a gun.
It's a good guy with a gun, and that's exactly what they did. The other thing that I took great heart in is Tennessee bill that would ban state and local participation in all federal gun control. I think people are getting fed up.
Yeah. If anyone is interested, if any of our watchers are interested in this, it's called nullification, and there is a group called the 10th Amendment Center that is 100% devoted. Their only interest is nullification. They promote nullification of anything that can be nullified. They want it nullified. So if you're into that sort of thing, if you're a 10th Amendment person, and you're into that sort of thing, you should look up 10th Amendment Center on Facebook and subscribe to their mailing list.
It would be nice if all the states began to line up that way.
Well, it's been happening. I mean, I don't have a handy list of the states that have done these sorts of, passed these sorts of bills, but it has happened in the past.
And we've said numerous times on the show that federal laws are all warm and fuzzy, except they don't have the people to enforce them.
Right.
And so if the local law enforcement, the county sheriffs and the state police and stuff go, we're not doing that.
Yeah, if
that's
they won't
it.
cooperate,
What are you
then,
going to do?
Yeah, they really have very little, unless they go, Waco or what was that place out in Oregon that they surrounded?
Ridge.
No, not
Yeah,
Ruby Ridge, but the recent one last year. Out in Oregon.
That was a park or something where the
right. Yeah, some name it's hard to remember, but yeah, unless they bring in like a huge group of feds, they can't enforce it by themselves.
And if every state or most of the states go, we're not doing it, well then
it's dead in the water.
It's over. I mean, they can't do it. And there's the foot about the national concealed carry. One of the reasons I think it may be a problem, more difficult than they anticipate, is you've got all the liberals hate it, but you have some conservatives that hate it too.
Right.
And their attitude is, why are we doing this? We shouldn't have to do it.
Right.
It's in the Constitution. We shouldn't.
Similar to the Floyd card.
Exactly. And I understand that, but if they sink the thing because, you know what I'm saying, because they lobby their congressmen and the thing gets sunk because you got gun people who are against it, that's not good either.
Right.
So I don't know.
It's going to be interesting to see how they write it.
It's
because even Ed said, it just depends on what the actual content, how they actually construct that bill, because there are so many, it's a patchwork of 50 different concealed carry laws, and so to unify it and say every state has to recognize every other state, it's incredibly difficult. It's not like driver's laws that are fairly consistent from state to state.
And there's a lawsuit going on right now in Illinois, which they used our guys used Ed, that deals with non-residents of Illinois not being able to get. There's only 4 states, and these people are suing are not in one of them, not being able to get an Illinois permit. So I don't know. And now under Trump, who knows what's going to happen? Really, you're seeing agencies which we have not cared for fall in line.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's president, And the best part about it is, if they don't fall in line, he just fires people. He goes, I'm going to replace you.
He's already firing people from the VA.
Oh, yeah. Did you see where he said, when he was having this tiff with the CIA, at one point he goes, well, I don't really need them. I'll hire new people, But, and of course, the liberals are aghast. But they would do the same thing. Sure,
absolutely. I mean, political jobs are political jobs,
exactly.
And, toe the line or get riffed. I mean, it's kind of like Obama saying, if you like your plan, you can keep it. If you like your job, you can keep your job, says Trump.
What's interesting is, I was a big Reagan fan. I love Ronald Reagan. And I thought he was very, very charismatic. But Trump may end up being one of the best presidents.
Well, only time will tell.
We'll see. Anyway, we'd like to thank you for joining us tonight. We'd appreciate it if you tell your friends about On Target Radio.
We'd also like to thank our engineer and announcer, Eric Allen, and our sponsors, my editor, Creative Business Services, the Will County Grassroots Division of the ISRA, Shrinks Smokin' Guns, the Illinois State Rifle Association, the Aurora Sportsman's Club, and Safer USA.
And finally, we hope you'll listen again next week, and we'll have more red meat issues that affect your life.